throughout the city and actually have real consequences for the illegal billboards. So I want to thank you for your support and ask for an aye vote.
By the way, the term ICO that's frequently used during the conversation stands for Interim Control Ordinance. Now, calling staff to the center table, Councilmember Bill Rosendahl explains what he believes are the biggest issues when it comes to illegal digital signs in his District 11, and he asks about the so-called super graphics.
Obviously, we want this extension of the moratorium so that we can sort things out and actually move in the right direction. But the two biggest issues for me are those that have the illegal signs up there now. What are we going to do with those 34 in my district for compensation to the city? How did they get them up? And what kind of revenue streams did they get? And what money can we, the city, get, which we should get? And then the second big issue as we go through this moratorium, I want to know the flipping to digital, what revenue streams we can get out of that flip to digital, not just posting the billboard there and paying a nominal amount, but there should be a revenue stream for the city attached to those that have already flipped digital as we go through this moratorium. Those are those issues I want to see. And third, there are groups still putting signage up. What action are we taking to stop them, especially those super graphics that wake up in the morning and you see another super graphic? Can you get involved in that at this point in this moratorium?
Yes, we do, and we are. Those super graphics that, that have gone up since the moratorium became in place, we are diligently pursuing those towards enforcement, working collectively with the city attorney's office.
Asking for support of the ban extension, District 13 Councilmember Eric Garcetti says until the punishment outweighs the profit, billboard companies and property owners will continue to break the law.
Because a lot of the time we've been talking about the billboard companies in here, these are the property owners as well. And I know it's a tough time and property owners are saying we're going to lose our buildings, etc. That is not our issue here. Our issue is whether or not they're abiding by the law or not. And where they are breaking it, we're glad to see the building and safety has moved forward, but this ordinance will go forward in a way that will give us time to continue this ban while the Planning Commission, which I think has been doing a pretty good job with its public outreach, and I agree with the point that Dennis made, that we should allow more public input on that. I know they have a task force now of 4 or 5 commissioners that are going to be looking at this, and I've gotten calls from a number of the commissioners asking about different issues, and I think they've been doing an excellent job in making sure this will have teeth in court, but also have some ramifications for people who break the law, because that's the biggest issue. If we don't have punishments that at least equal how much money they're making on this, they'll just continue to flaunt the law. And if we don't have kind of scorched earth and other sort of language that have long-term effects, people will continue to break the law. And many people who have not been the evil ones think that they should do this now because they see every building around them doing it, and that is unacceptable for anybody, no matter who they are, to be breaking the law. So thank you, Mr. Weiss. Proud to introduce this with you. I appreciate Mr. Race's work on this as well. So with that, we ask for your support.
Wanting to know where we stand on both legal and illegal billboards, District 1 Councilmember Ed Reyes calls on staff to find out if the city has the authority to remove illegal billboards.
I think it would benefit all of us if we just had a feel for where we're at as a city in responding to this situation in our city. And we got building safety coming up. I know you're catching you off guard here, sir, but I think it's important. This council this past January worked on some allocation of resources and staff. Are we at a point where we are now categorizing or identifying the legal versus the illegal billboards? Are we there yet?
We are, Dave Lara with the Department of Building and Safety, we are definitely in that direction, sir. We've actually inspected almost 2,000 billboards thus far.
2,000 billboards?
Yes. We have actually a team of about 20 inspectors out there physically making inspections block by block. As you know, the city's got a lot of square miles, so, it's got a lot to cover, but we feel we've covered a lot of ground. We're moving in highly concentrated areas where these billboards are first, main thoroughfares and the like, and but we are finding illegal boards. We will have that information together, as I alluded earlier to Councilmember Rosendahl. We'll have that detailed information here forthcoming to the council.
So when we are in a position to work with our city attorney's office, your department, and Public Works, we could be in a position where we, as a city, could take down the illegal billboards and essentially penalize those who conduct themselves illegally by imposing on the city and violating our safety with these billboards that are illegal. We will be in a position to do that.
We will be following the due process as we do with any violators of any codes in the city of Los Angeles, but we will move forward to diligently work on that and to attempt to remove as many of those billboards as quickly as possible.
I know I did a verbal motion. It was seconded by my colleagues. We got to come to a place where we can hear from Public Works, hear from your department and the city attorney's office how this mechanism will work.
There are no further speakers in the queue. So, Madam Clerk, Mr. Clerk, if you would open the roll on this item, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
And so, with a unanimous vote of 14 ayes, your Los Angeles City Council approved the extension that will stop the issuing of building permits for digital displays and super graphic signs for an additional 45 days to May 10th, 2009. The first quarterly report from the Office of Gang Reduction and Youth Development was heard on Wednesday, February 25th. Chair of the Ad Hoc Committee on Gangs, District 6 Councilmember Tony Cardenas, asked for the report and introduces Reverend Jeff Carr.
What we have before us is the first of a series of quarterly reports from the Mayor's Office regarding the gang reduction and youth development status for the City of Los Angeles. Before it was known as Bridges 1 and Bridges 2, we, the City Council, formally moved those issues into the Mayor's Office. The names have changed, faces have changed, but the difference now is that part of that motion was for the City Council to be apprised of what's going on a quarterly basis. So thank you, Jeff Carr, for coming forward and giving us this report. I have some questions. Some of them might be a little redundant. Not all the members are in the committee that this went through. So I'll be asking you some questions so that my colleagues can hear the answers. In terms of the LA Bridges program closeout, apparently, to date, there's been just over 700 successful transitions of youth who are being served by the Bridges 1, who are now being provided services currently. Of those, how did it come about at that amount? How many more do we anticipate pulling forward formally as part of this new process in the months to come?
Well, good morning, Mr. President and Councilman Cardenas and other members of the council. Maybe if I could briefly just give a little overview of the report just for a few folks and then answer that question. I think I just want to say that, first of all, in more than 6 months since the council and mayor established this Office of Gang Reduction and Youth Development, really our objective has been very simple, and that is to marshal as many resources as possible, as quickly and effectively as possible, to get them to the kids in the neighborhoods who are at the greatest risk and in greatest need. And in fact, in these first 6 months, I would say we've not solved all the problems, nor have we attempted to solve every single problem and challenge what has historically plagued the city's efforts to reduce gang crime and keep kids out of gangs. But I think we have made tremendous progress. And we've tried to use the Advancement Projects Report, the City Controller's Blueprint for Change, and the Mayor and Council's direction as a guide. And we've set in motion major institutional change, which I believe will provide far more effective, transparent, and accountable means for the city to reduce gang violence and keep our kids from joining gangs. And in fact, the City Controller's Blueprint for Change actually contained more than 120 specific recommendations to provide more efficient and effective gang prevention and intervention services. And by our own estimation, we have either fully implemented or made great progress in implementing over 90% of those recommendations. And given the significance of this crisis, our clear priorities have been the kids most likely to join gangs and the neighborhoods suffering from most violence. Implementing technical solutions to bureaucratic problems is important, but in our view it pales in comparison to the responsibility we have to the kids and families who are living with the threat of gang violence and the influence of gang activity every single day.
Speaking next, District 15 Councilmember Janice Hahn thanks Reverend Carr for this first ever report and reminds her colleagues how important their part has been in all of this, and then asks the big question: is it working?
It was this council that historically agreed to do something that had never been done before. We, first of all, authorized and funded the first ever comprehensive report on how the City of Los Angeles deals with gang violence. Then it was this council that took that report along with our controller's recommendations and did something that no other council before us agreed to do. We consolidated all of our anti-gang programs, prevention, intervention, into the mayor's office. And then we also did something that we've never done before. We actually agreed to support something that wasn't divided by 15. Because we agreed that fighting gang violence in Los Angeles was going to have to be different than how we appropriated money to fund sidewalk repairs or street pavings. We decided to follow the best advice, which was let's put the resources where the gang violence is. And when the mayor's office under Jeff Carr came up with these gang reduction zones, some of us, some of our areas got left out. But we still stood firm to take the statistics and put the resources where we thought the problem was. So this council deserves a lot of credit for this gang strategy working. And I've seen some of the campaign commercials, and it sounds like just one person in the city is responsible for this. But frankly, it was this council that has allowed this to happen. I will give the mayor credit for hiring Jeff Carr in the first place and creating an office of gang reduction and youth development. But all this stuff that Jeff is talking about today would have never happened if we hadn't agreed to do a couple of those very bold, courageous things. So I really want to thank this council for having faith in Jeff Carr and having faith in that idea that for once we're going to fight gangs in Los Angeles in a strategic, comprehensive, well thought out, and funded to our best ability strategy. So I'll just ask you one question, and that is it working?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's not only is it we're seeing some results now, but I think in the long term we're going to see a lot more results. And I do certainly want to thank you and the other members of the council, not just for the confidence you have in me, but in the belief that the way we were doing this historically wasn't working, that we had to do something different and to take the risk to do that. And I think we will all see the benefits in more kids alive, not in jail, and young people not getting involved in that destructive lifestyle of violence and on life on the street. And I think that's ultimately what I think we all want to accomplish.
Saying he understands intervention and prevention when dealing with gang members, District 1 Council Member Ed Reyes wants to know if anything's being done to include and educate parents.
Are we yet looking at the possibility of bringing in the parents in a much stronger role in trying to create that sense of information and knowledge in dealing with environments that to them might be foreign? Many of the parents come from other countries. Many of the parents are just learning how the system works. They're not familiar with the educational process, and their kids tend to get lost in that gray area. Can you speak to that and see if there's any thought to that? Because I know we're building. Sure. So we're not asking you to run. We've got to take baby steps first, but let me just hold my time.
Well, one of the risk factors for gang joining is actually a lack of parental oversight. And so particularly on our prevention programs, which is going to be the bulk of, 2/3 of the money we're investing is really in prevention programs. One of the mitigating risk factors that you're trying to deal with is a lack of parental oversight or dealing with the family on this issue. And so any of our prevention programs that are working with young people that are most at risk of joining gangs are going to have a significant family component, whether that be parenting or engaging the families in various processes. So that's absolutely something that's built in already to our prevention programs. Everywhere I talk about publicly, I think it's important for us to remember one simple thing, that all across this city, Even if the toughest neighborhoods, the neighborhoods where we have some of the most entrenched gang problems, even in those neighborhoods, 85% of the kids that live in those neighborhoods will never join a gang. They're good kids. They may walk a certain way, talk a certain way, look a certain way, but they're not gang baiting, drug dealing, gun-toting gang members. And I think it's important to remember that the vast majority of the kids who live in the city are good kids who want the same things that you and I want for our kids. They want to grow up safe, healthy. They want a good job. They want a family, a place to live. And I think sometimes the media and even us as folks, adults in the city, need to remember that most kids are good kids. There's a small, tiny fraction of kids who actually are really involved in some of this problem behavior, and we certainly need to target our resources to try and keep as many of them out of that pathway as possible and get them on the right path. But most kids in this city are good kids.
And joining us now by phone is Deputy Mayor and Director of the Office of Gang Reduction and Youth Development, Reverend Jeff Carr. Reverend Carr, welcome to Council Week in Review.
Thank you.
Before we talk about the report that you gave to Council, tell us a little about the Office of Gang Reduction and Youth Development, a relatively new office under the Mayor. Why was it created, and what are your goals?
Well, it was created in the summer of 2007. It really was in response to first a report by the Advancement Project and Civil Rights Attorney Connie Rice that was done for the City Council, and then follow-up by Controller Laura Chick's office. It really pointed out the problem that all of our gang prevention and intervention programs throughout the city were scattered and not coordinated in one place, and there was a call to actually consolidate everything under the Office of the Mayor and have someone be in charge that would really be a direct to the Mayor. So our office was established to really take on that role of trying to get our arms around how we address this issue of youth gangs and youth violence in our city.
Of course, there's always a cost associated with any program. How much in this case, and how will it be used and or distributed?
Presently, we have about $24 million comes from both the general fund, from federal and state grants, and we're using that fund to really fund our strategy for prevention and intervention. So we've targeted 12 of the most violent neighborhoods in the city of Los Angeles in 12 different geographic areas. Those areas are 4 times more violent in terms of gang-related violence than the rest of the city on whole. And we're investing in both prevention, targeted kids between the ages of 10 and 15 to try and stop them from joining gangs in the first, and the intervention strategy that tries to interrupt violence when it's taking place on the streets and then actually engage gang members who want a pathway out of that lifestyle and to try and help them transition that way.
How are those zones, by the way, actually determined? What did you use to come up with the zones?
Well, they're totally data-driven, which I think is another thing for people to know in the city, is that historically, the way we funded programs has really been sort of a formula of divide by 15 as opposed to put the resources where the need was greatest. And so we worked very hard at both determining where the gang-related violent crime occurs, as well as then doing needs assessments in each one of these communities to really understand the specific and particular needs of these neighborhoods and the kind of response then that we would tailor for each community to respond to those gang-related violence needs.
I'm sure a lot of people watching now would like to know what's being done for communities that aren't actually located in an official gang zone, but of course may still have some level of gang activity.
Well, we did, as part of our strategy and funding allocation, we did set aside about 15% of the resources to fund projects outside of those 12 gang reduction youth development zones. And actually, we sent to council this week a transmittal that included recommendations for 4 prevention projects outside of our target areas, as well as 4 intervention projects. So we are investing about $2.5 million on an annual basis to go towards areas outside the grid zone.
You pointed out that the gang zones themselves were data-driven. Well, the office has only been in existence for a short time, but your report to council claims considerable success already. Success in what ways? What kind of metrics are you using?
Well, I think, first of all, we certainly have changed the way the city is doing business in terms of accountability and set up the infrastructure. I would say we've laid the foundation for a better future, but specifically last summer we did something called Summer Night Lights, which was we kept 8 recreation and park facilities and a housing development project open from 4th of July to Labor Day. We kept those recreational facilities open until midnight, 4 nights a week, Wednesday to Saturday, which is the most violent time of the year and the week. And we actually provided expanded programming for kids and families in that community, targeted young people who are most at risk of either being victims or perpetrators of violence, paid those young people to actually help us with running programs. And actually we compared the violence, gang-related violence from the summer of 2007 compared to last summer in those same particular communities, and we saw a 17% reduction overall in gang-related violence in those targeted areas, and actually an 86% reduction in homicides. We only had one homicide, gang-related homicide, in those 8 areas compared to 7 from the previous summer. So we think we've already contributed to some of the reductions in gang-related violence, and we expect that over time that we'll achieve even greater results.
If I remember right, Summer Night Lights also had other activities associated with them other than just turning on the lights. What sorts of things did you help keep the young at-risk people occupied?
Well, certainly we had, lots of sports and recreation activities because it was at, our park and rec facilities. But then also we had a partnership with the Department of Cultural Affairs. So we had lots of local artists that did everything from theater and drama to music, art classes. We had music, lots of food. We had programs for little kids, arts and crafts, and for parents. So we had a variety of things. It was really based on what people who lived in those neighborhoods said that they wanted or needed in terms of programming, and we tried to respond to that, and I think that was part of the success. We had in 8 weeks, we had over 50,000 visits to those 8 parks. So, and these are, mind you, parks where a lot of the violence in our city often occurs, and these are some of the toughest neighborhoods. A lot of people thought we were crazy and wouldn't get people to come, but I think it spoke volumes about if you provide opportunities for young people and families, they will come.
You mentioned neighborhoods. Of course, neighborhood councils, as you know, are fast becoming more influential across the city. Is there a role here for neighborhood councils when it comes to gang and crime reduction?
Absolutely. We've actually, as part of our overall vision, we actually produced a vision document called Healing Our Neighborhoods that we produced last July, and folks can find it on the mayor's website. But as part of that, we said that we think neighborhood councils actually are a significant resource and asset in a lot of these neighborhoods. And so actually when you go to neighborhood councils, a lot of them have, subcommittees on public safety. And so we've really worked to reach out to those local neighborhood councils to get them to be our partners. In particular, in Summer Night Lights, we had probably 3 or 4 last summer in a very quick timeline to get that off the ground. That actually made financial contributions, actually volunteered as coaches and mentors and helping us cook food and stuff in the parks. And we have even more who've signed up to help us this summer.
Obviously, you talk a lot about jobs. In these tough economic times, is there any way we're going to be able to offer some type of employment to these at-risk youth?
Well, the great news about one of the great pieces of the stimulus package coming from the federal government is there was a substantial amount of money that was put in there for Workforce and Investment Act funds and summer youth jobs. And so there'll be substantial dollars coming to the city to actually employ more young people this summer, which, frankly, is a great way to get money into the economy. Most teenagers I know, the second they get their paychecks, they cash those and start spending them. So we expect to employ even more kids this summer than we did last summer. Just in our Summer Night Lights program, last summer we hired 80 kids, and we'll be hiring 150 this summer.
Very good. Finally, how can people become involved? Where can they get more information about all this?
Well, they can certainly email our office at gryd@lacity.org, and then if you go to the city website and go to the Mayor Villaraigosa's homepage and go under Public Safety Initiatives, you'll find gangs, and then you can find everything our office has been doing and is in the process of doing and read up on there. And then, if people see me out in the neighborhood, I hope they'll certainly stop and ask me. I'd be happy to tell folks what we're doing.
Excellent. Deputy Mayor Jeff Carr, thanks for joining us on Council Week in Review.
You bet. Thank you for having me.
The council voted to note and file the report in as much as it was submitted for information only, and no council action was necessary. LA City View is the government access cable channel for the City of Los Angeles, featuring live coverage of city council meetings and programming about city department services and events. Now, if you have suggestions or comments about any of the programs you see here on Channel 35, or would like to receive a free viewer guide, call our viewer hotline at 213-473-3978. And remember, you can watch all Los Angeles City Council meetings live in their entirety on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays beginning at 10 a.m. On Sundays, you can watch the replay of all the week's meetings, also beginning at 10 a.m. Council Week in Review can be seen Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m., and on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Well, that concludes our program for the week ending February 27th, 2009. On behalf of Martine Martinez and everyone here at Channel 35, I'm Jack Pope-Joy. Thank you for watching, and please join us for the next Council Week in Review.
I'm Antoinette Cristobal, Director of Finance for the City of Los Angeles Office of Finance. We are excited about a few changes we have made for the upcoming year in regards to filing your business taxes in the city. If you're looking to e-file, here's how.
I never understand why people wait until the last minute and then panic about filing their business tax renewal. Really, it's not that hard. Go to www.lacity.org/finance. Enter your account number and zip code found on the renewal form. Confirm that the account information is correct. Enter your tax measures such as gross receipts. Proceed, and the form will automatically calculate the tax if due. Verify that the information is correct. Print a copy of the renewal confirmation screen. Really, it's a no-brainer! I saw right through it! Anyone got a cracker?
I'm Antoinette Cristobal. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the City of Los Angeles, we want to make this process simple and efficient.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tuesday, March 3rd, 2009. Happy Election Day to everybody, and don't forget to get out there and vote in today's municipal elections. We are here in the John Ferraro Council Chambers for the meeting of the Los Angeles City Council, where we meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. I'm City Council President Eric Garcetti. I'm joined by my colleagues. So far in attendance are Janice Hahn, Tom LaBonge, Bernard Parks, Jan Perry, and Dennis Zine. We will have a bare quorum today due to State Senator Nel Soto's funeral, and so 5 council members are excused. Council members Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Huizar, and Weiss. That leaves us waiting still on Councilmember Reyes, Councilmember Rosendahl, and Councilmember Wesson to please join us. In the meantime, welcome to our viewers on Channel 35, which broadcasts us on the city's cable system and rebroadcasts us each evening. To our guests that are here in council chambers, including a contingent I know we'll hear from in a second from Thailand. It's good to have you here, and thank you for coming. We also are available online through our city's homepage at lacity.org, where you can click on the links on the left side and listen to any of the live meetings as well as archived footage of our past meetings. And there's a wealth of information at our city's homepage on city departments, city services, and different ways to improve the quality of your life here in Los Angeles. Finally, you can always use your telephone to listen in to council meetings. That is by calling 213-621-CITY. That is a service of the city called Council Phone, and you can listen to our committee meetings or any of our full council meetings as well. Our agendas are available in the back, and those are made available online and in person in the city clerk's office and council chambers 72 hours in advance, 24 hours in advance for our special item agendas. If you'd like to be heard on any of the items that have been agendized today, then please fill out a speaker card in the back. Make sure that gets handed to one of the sergeants at arms, and we'll be sure to get you in the mix. We also have a section of the meeting which is called general public comment for items that are not on the agenda, but nevertheless under the jurisdiction of the city, and that is 2 minutes per speaker here at the podium or in Van Nuys, where we can also watch and listen to people live from there. I'd like to recognize Janice Hahn to introduce some special guests that are here today. Ms. Hahn, if you'd like to welcome our guests.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. We're very, very pleased this morning to have from Thailand the Bank for Agricultural and Agricultural Cooperatives are here learning about our city government and learning about the trade process. And so we want you to stand. All of you stand up, and we're very glad to have you here today. That was it.
Thank you. We now have 8 council members. We are just awaiting, actually we have 9 now with Mr. Reyes, so we're just awaiting Mr. Wesson. As soon as Mr. Wesson comes, we will be able to begin our council meeting. Thank you, everybody, for your patience, and we will begin shortly. While we are awaiting Mr. Wesson, folks who have not yet voted obviously can do so till 8 p.m. tonight. And if you do not know where your polling place is, you can visit the city clerk's page, which has a link to the county locations. That is at www.lacity.org/CLK, as in clerk. That's www.lacity.org/CLK. If you don't have internet connectivity, you can call 311, and we'll be sure to connect you through to the county registrar recorder to find out your voting location today. That's from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. this evening throughout the city of Los Angeles. We are still awaiting one more council member, so again, thank you for your patience. Are there any announcements folks would like to make in the meantime? If not, we will be back shortly. Thank you again for your patience. Mr. Wesson, if we can find out where his whereabouts are so we can begin the meeting. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Westenstein, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
All right, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Reyes moves and Mr. Zine seconds. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order of business.
Mandatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Wesson moves and Ms. Hahn seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday, and there's a flag salute.
I can ask everybody in council chambers to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance. And if I can ask Mr. Labange if he would be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
Thank you very much. As us all to rise on this election day in Los Angeles, place your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. If we can run through the agenda, please.
On the regular agenda, items 1 through 5 are street lighting district ordinances, notice for public hearing.
Alrighty. We do not have any cards on those, so we'll close the public hearings, and let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those will go over 1 week. as the first reading of the ordinance. Next items, please.
Items 6 through 9 are items for which public hearings have been held. Item 6 is a commission appointment. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold 6 on the desk. 7 for Ms. Hahn. And that leaves 8 and 9. Anybody wishing to call 8 and 9 special? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. Next item, please.
Items 10 through 21 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, and we have cards from the public on some of those. Which ones?
Yes, Mr. President. There are cards on 15, 16, 18, and 20.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearings on the other ones. Any specials, colleagues? This is 10 through 21. If not, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
17, 19, and 21 are approved, and 10 through 14 will go to a second reading next week, 1 week from today. We go to the supplemental agenda, please.
On the supplemental agenda, item 22 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, we have a card from the public on that, so we'll call that special for cards from the public. And that would take us back to our general public comment. Our first speaker is in Van Nuys, Mr. Zuma Dog. Good morning.
Yes, Los Angeles, what a truly blessed day. First of all, this guy hasn't been out in long enough, y'all. This guy, Dave, took his hat and glasses off. I just want to take some time, not be political at all today. Yes, we have an election. Please vote. I'd like you to vote for Zuma Dog. And I'd like to say that I'd like to thank everybody. I mean, I have a message of faith. I'm not talking about politics today. Truly faith. Let me talk about my personal experience. 3 years ago, I came in here to City Hall about an issue at Venice Beach. And, my life's been like Groundhog's Day, really, just here day in and day out. And I'm kind of rambling, but when I walk out on the streets every day, and I know council hates to hear this, but it's just an overwhelming avalanche of people who are so appreciative of what I've done, and that I'm just here every day. It's miserable. It's been a most miserable, bitter experience. You should call me at 3 in the morning when I'm sitting in my car, without food, and somehow, like Groundhog's Day, I end up being here. And faith, people, because I came in here with nothing. And I just spent my time the best that I could. I say I got nothing to do today. I could use my time productively. It's good karma, basically, just putting out the good energy. So people, you might be in miserable circumstances. You might not see any way out of your depression. You might feel the most isolated, most lonely person in the world with absolutely nothing. You might walk into Dodger Stadium and feel like you're just alone, but just have faith. Because today I am on the ballot for mayor of Los Angeles, and no matter what the outcome is, whether I win or force a runoff or whatever, I'm Zuma Dog in the city of Los Angeles, and it feels great because of the people. And even Eric, thank you, the other day he said, I think you picked up a few votes on that. It's been a great process, and I thank City Council. It's been great, and thank you so much, Los Angeles.
Thank you. Best of luck, Mr. Dog. Our next speaker is Dr. Williams, Clyde Williams, here in council chambers, and then ISIS will follow him.
I hope everyone has voted or will vote. My name is Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrett Road, El Sereno, CD 14. The Autry Southwest Museum and the LA Community College District. Autry has pushed the district to include the Southwest Museum on the Measure J bond issue, which was voted on for $11 million of capital expense. But the Autry doesn't have any matching funds, nor does it have a 5-year operating budget for a campus at the Southwest Museum. The Autry is pushing the district to pay for Autry's share of the capital plus the operating budget. But Autry doesn't have the money, and Autry does not want to put any more of its money into the Southwest Museum campus in Arroyo Seco. Autry is doing the same thing to the district as they have done to the city of Los Angeles. Make an agreement, don't give any money, not even $20 for the last 20 years, and don't comply with any of the terms and conditions of the lease with the city of Los Angeles. Where's the controller? Make sure that Autry gets what everybody else gives. Require the LACCD to complete the Vandekamp campus, which they haven't, and other campuses first with full 5-year operating budgets in hand. Require the Autry to fully comply with its city lease agreement, with its terms and conditions, and pay the $20, or declare default and give the Griffith campus of ANC to the Community College District. It would make a great addition to the city budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. ISIS is our next speaker. After her will be Sean Murphy, also out in Van Nuys. Good morning.
Hello, I'm ISIS, Director of Justice League for Benevolence.org. Fellow Angelenos, on this election day, March 3rd, 2009, let us wisely vote for ethics, thus stopping the evildoers, and the evildoers, rather, and phantom, known as Villangrosa, on their tracks. It is critical that we vote for lawful and benevolent official legislators and legislation. We behold the power, we Angelenos, to halt massive corruption, to halt the massive corruption in Los Angeles and beyond. Angelenos, let's raise the standard and begin by tossing bogus city officials and measures to the dumps. Today, vote no on all the following. Let's stop insane officials' waste of taxpayers' money and their fraud deals with scumlord developers and others. Vote and a loud and resounding no on the disgraceful Antonio Villangrosa and his pesky court. No on Jan Perry. No more Jack Weiss. Heck no on Wendy Gruhl. No way Richard Alarcon. No good Eric Garcetti. No mas Ed Reyes. No go on Bill Rosenthal. Vote no on measures A, B, and E. No more bogusness. No more shameful and unwarranted taxes and corrupt fees in Los Angeles and beyond. Legislators, news flash. Legislators, news flash, I repeat, we are in a depression. It's the time to resort and implement holistically a bartering system of food, clothes, skillful services, and kosher goods, etc. That is non-profit. This no-nonsense depression-friendly approach warmly builds trust and relieves tensions amongst the people. A sharing and caring approach to assist those in need is crucial for building healthy communities. It's dire that we come together as compassionate beings and stop vote no on 8.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Sean Murphy, and after that is Miriam Fogler, both in Van Nuys. Good morning, Mr. Murphy.
Good morning, Mr. President. Can I let the ladies go first? I'm old school.
It's very nice of you, but you're first in the list. We got to go in the order it's received. Thank you for being a gentleman.
Okay. I just want to... I should come after them then. Please think before who you vote for mayor, please. I don't want another 4 years of Villaraigosa. I'd like people to think when they go to the polls today to please vote who they vote for. Be careful who they vote for. Villaraigosa has not done nothing. He has put LA's is awful with Villaraigosa. I'd like people to please be careful who they vote for. And I hope you stay on as councilor in the 13th district. If I was living in the 13th district, I would vote for you, but I don't, I'm sorry to say. I hope you remain in, hope you get another term. Thank you, Mr. President.
Keep talking. Say some other things. Talk about the mayor.
Mayor has not, I did talk about the mayor.
Talk about something else.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Okay. Next we have Miriam Fogler, and after that is Donna Pearman. Good morning, Ms. Fogler.
Yes, the other week, folks, there was a wake-up call that they want to revamp our whole state system here, and now they want to revamp our local and federal next, and just get rid of the U.S. Constitution. This is uncalled for by these people up in Sacramento, that they want to take out the system. We should replace the people with good ethics, the people who have good morals and values. We need people who could stand up and say, we got to do things that are right, not just doing things that just for your special interest or making money. Okay, so we must vote no on A, B, C, and E, folks. D is for the city workers and the fire and police to have more benefits they can add to them if they choose to have extra added benefits. We need to support our city and our city workers, fire and police. We need to stop the CRA who is gulping all the money from the revenue of the city. We cannot have people coming from the border here, coming down here to take over the city with their guns and drugs. There's a war going on, folks. Turn to LouDobbs.com or watch them on channel CNN 206 or 43 down there. CNN, Lou Dobbs, 3 o'clock, then 4 o'clock. He explains there's a war going on, folks, and we got a real problem here, human existence here on this planet. We need to stand up for the Second Amendment and not let them take away our guns and not ban any guns, period. Law-abiding citizens have a right to carry guns in the state of California permit. And that because we got a war down there in the south border now, folks. It's real bad. So vote no, vote against Jack Weiss. Don't let him win. And vote for Zumudog for mayor.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Donna Pearman, and then we'll come back here for Michael Hunt.
And Van Nuys, we may have our future mayor. Anyway, vote no on Villaraigosa. I didn't realize Bill Rosendahl was running. It's a no-brainer, folks. Don't vote for him. Continue to vote for Eric Garcetti. And be sure to vote today if you haven't already. The reason we have a democracy is because you can vote. People died for that right, and we shouldn't take it for granted. We have it in our hands to keep raising our rates and taxes. So if you want to possibly triple your electric rates, you would then vote for Prop B. If you don't want your rates raised, vote no on B. You are just subsidizing the commercial and city buildings. We're not helping out the people with the homes. If you don't want to see everything raised, vote no on A, B, C, and E. Vote yes on D. It's the right thing to do. The only good one on the ballot. Please, let's make Jack Weiss get a real job again and vote for someone else. Over 20,000 people can't be wrong. Why give him another job just because he doesn't want to be a councilman? Listen to Councilman Zine. He doesn't endorse him. Let's save the city. City employees, look at www.zumatimes.com. Or will it change the mayor dog? Anyway, we need to help out the city employees. We shouldn't come up with things that will hurt them because they're always out there serving the city, and we should be thanking them, and we should stop the CRA from stealing all our money and stopping the fee waivers. And we shouldn't stop the smaller people who we need. Go after the big fish. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Hunt is our next speaker here, and then Walter Bechtel will follow Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, City Hall. My name is Michael Hunt. I brought you the Venice Outlaws from Venice, California. And one of those outlaws was Zumudog. Vote Zumudog for mayor. He's not a nightmare, but he's a real mayor. So vote Zumudog for mayor. Vote Bill Rosenthal for the 11th District. Get out there and vote. If you know what I know, vote Bill. Jack Weiss, vote Jack Weiss, because he's going to bring Job Corps and community-based policing to all the high schools from 6th to 9th grade. He's going to do his anti-gang combat. Vote Jack Weiss. And you know to vote Wendy Gruhl. She's a specialist. She has the cleanest record in City Hall, so you got to get out and vote for Wendy Gruhl. Those are my picks. When Zumudog brought you Hootie Hood, and we livened up the city council chambers, and Zumudog made B11 in the LA Times, it was a wrap after that. Just some of the accomplishments that we made from being down here from A to Z, front page of LA Times, front page of Daily News. The whole show at City Council, we put it on for the last 4 years, so just listen to what I got to say. Vote Zumudog, he's not a nightmare. Vote Wendy Gruhl. Vote Jack Weiss, because he's going to put Job Corps in all the schools sponsored by the City Attorney's Office. from 6th to 10th grade. So that's going to combat gangs and prevent kids from joining gangs. And last but least, please vote Bill Rosenthal. Bill Rosenthal. Bill Rosenthal is a ticket.
Kill him.
Thank you very much. Walter Bechtel is our next speaker, and then Phil Jenajan.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to come back and say something because the people at our supposed news station, KFWB, keep saying that there isn't going to be any kind of a voter turnout less than 10%. I don't know where they get these statistics from, but they're the same news station that tells us that they're giving us 24-hour news all the time, except for now on the weekends we don't get any news at all from KFWB, and I think the city seriously needs to reconsider another news station because there's something wrong with them. Also, I would like to say that when you go out to vote, try to focus on one person, the person most likely to succeed that is not Anthony Villaraigosa. Please remember his record, the Mayday Melee, the unusual amount of murdered babies, even some that were shot by police officers themselves, people being run over in crosswalks. And the statistics for the reduction in crime are manipulated. His chief of police refuses to come into compliance with consent decree, and I have found the main reason for the reduction in crime is because of the fact his officers are not reporting crimes. Attempted murders, mayhems, assaults with deadly weapon, those things are going down because the officers just simply do not want to make a report. You can't even get a yellow slip anymore from the officers. So he's putting a lot of money into the police in this city. Everybody else is being fired. I think we need to get rid of our mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bechtel. Our next speaker is Phil Jenajan, and then after that is Arnold Sachs. Good morning.
Okay, good morning, council members. My name is Phil Jenajan. I'm currently a candidate for mayor, and today is election day. And in just a couple hours after I leave City Hall, I'm going to be able to go into a voting booth and vote for myself for the first time ever. It's going to be a very special moment for me. I'm proud of myself in my campaign. I've come so far, so fast. I've even been mentioned in a lot of media sources as one of the top 3 or 4 candidates for mayor. I'd like to thank the candidates, the other candidates that ran with me, Craig Rubin, Zuma Dog, and David Hernandez, Walter Moore, all the candidates. I think I formed some new friendships with some of these men, even though we have some politically different ideologies. I especially want to thank Antonio Villaraigosa for ignoring the voters of the city, refusing to appear at hundreds and hundreds of social events. Fantastic job, Antonio. You alienated tens of thousands of voters, and they're going to go out today and vote against you. I'd like to thank Ace Smith, who came up with this creative strategy to ignore the voters. I think that was pretty clever. I don't know how that's going to work out. Now, these comments were slightly sarcastic, but today my heart is just filled with joy and love for everyone who worked on my campaign. I want to thank Julian Stevens, my fantastic webmaster who helped develop PhilJenajan.com, Steve, Jillian, and Dorothy over at Good Day LA who let me go on their show and exposed me to tons of voters. The LA County GOP, I thank you for putting your trust and your faith in me. I might not be able to reward you today, but I will reward you in the future. You can count on that. Craig Huey from LA Voter Guide who let faith-based voters know that they have an alternative in this election. My crew, Stephen Showhead, Ann Rest, Julie Kavich, Maureen Johnson, Rob Pedersen, Beatrice Jett, all the people who emailed me, George Pearson, Philip Huerta, Steve Schaff, all the student Republicans who got over there and did it, and Annie Moscovian, Leah Thompson, who hosted the debates, and last but definitely not least, Crystal Chavez, who I didn't know I'd be standing here on election day and telling people that I'm crazy in love with you, but I am, and every day with you the last couple months has been a joy and a gift. Thank you very much, council members.
Thank you, Mr. Jenajan. Arnold Sachs is our next speaker.
Yes, good morning. Arnold Sachs. Yesterday at LAWA board meeting in closed session, LAWA is negotiating with, according to the agenda item, either the city or DWP for 3,500 acres to lease or buy for the solar initiative. Why the public would pay for the same property twice? Just think about Measure B. Two different news articles mentioned the acreage would account for between 25 to 33% of the solar-powered initiative. The DWP president, David Nahai, said the property is not needed for the planned implementation. Who's right, who's wrong? On 2/28, in a newspaper article, some LA officers must reveal finances. The financial disclosure requirement, this is regarding the LAPD department to disclose personal finances. The financial disclosure requirement is part of the federal consent decree under which LAPD must operate. One of the arguments made by Paul Weber, president of the Los Angeles Police Protective League, is that the people of LA are being taken for a ride, despite the fact these best practices haven't been implemented anywhere in the United States, and he has no evidence to substantiate his claim. I have this question for Mr. Weber. What other cities are under federal consent decree that we could get a ruling on? And finally, on Wednesday, you had somebody here from the Film A committee. According to Ms. Hahn, it was quite a discussion. According to the president, you kind of veered off the topic. So is a swerve, a veer, a verve, a swerve, a derailed, or nudged? At what point does the city, the public, get to enter into these discussions? I can't believe that ethics was discussed in the committee. I can't believe that the California initiative to give incentive to the film companies was discussed in committee because it wasn't passed until the budget passed over the weekend.
Thank you very much.
So at what point
Thank
do
you,
we
Mr. Sachs.
get off topic and the public
Our next speaker is David Hernandez. Thank you very much, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Hernandez is our next speaker. After that is Yvonne Michelle Autry.
Good morning, council members.
Good morning.
Good morning, Los Angeles. My name is David Hernandez, and I am one of the candidates for mayor of Los Angeles. But the reason that I'm able to be a candidate for mayor of Los Angeles is because I live in a country that afford us those freedoms. And those freedoms are a direct result of the men and women who have served in the military and are veterans. As the age of 18, I joined the United States Navy, and by 19, I was working on the flight deck of the USS America off the coast of North Vietnam. Last year in February, as a member of the North Hollywood Northeast Neighborhood Council, I moved forward a motion to acknowledge March 30th as the official Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day for the city of Los Angeles. Passed through our neighborhood council, Councilmember Tony Cardenas, and seconded by Councilmember Parks, this council voted unanimously to adopt March 30th as the official Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. Unfortunately, that vote took place on April 17th. Today is March 3rd. In 27 days, it's going to be March 30th. What are we as a city going to do to acknowledge our Vietnam veterans? It is never too late to do the right thing. So I am here to request that the council members, working with their neighborhood councils, not let March 30th go by one more year without acknowledging the sacrifices of those men and women. And that is also a challenge to the members of the neighborhood councils, to the Rotary, to the Kiwanis, to the Chambers of Commerce. I don't care if it's just putting a flag out on March 30th or tying a yellow ribbon around your trees or your car antennas. Do something. Individuals, small business owners are stepping forward. The International House of Pancakes in San Fernando is going to offer free meals for Vietnam veterans Sunday, the day before. Do something. Thank you.
Thank you. Yvonne Michelle Autry is our next speaker. After that is Mr. Anthony. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning? Thank you for an opportunity to address the council. Week before last, I addressed the council regarding the mayor's housing plan, which was unveiled officially about 2.5 weeks ago, and a group that I work with, the Los Angeles Community Action Network, had the honor of viewing the plan in its present form, in its present state, which is unacceptable. We're planning on submitting a counter plan, and the two primary reasons are because, number one, again, we fought for an ordinance last year that you all did pass, protecting pre-existing residential housing units, primarily in residential hotels and other low-income housing units downtown. Thank you again for that ratification. It gives us quite a bit of leverage to work with in favor of low-income residents. And also, the plumb line, according to the mayor's housing plan, is about $60,000 in determining per year, per annum, what qualifies low income. $60,000 is a range, in our opinion, that is much too high. It should be more like $24,000 or $30,000 a year in determining who qualifies for low-income housing. My next comment is about Safer Cities Initiative. We have been really criticizing this initiative because it's allowing the police to incriminate many low-income residents as drug addicts, as prostitutes, as drug dealers, as sex offenders, to justify the illegal evictions and unlawful detainers that we are being served in order to make room for the gentry. Okay, we're mostly, or by and large, low-income black people, people of color, many of whom are veterans or senior citizens or just economically challenged. Like I said, this is being used as an implement or to justify the illegal, unlawful detainers to make room for the gentry who are recycling greater amounts of revenues every day. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention in an effort to encourage you to please change Safer Cities Initiative as it stands, because it's not ministering to all people in terms of equanimity. It's catering to the rich and the gentry.
Mr. Anthony is our next speaker. Thank you. After Mr. Anthony will be Teresa Marquez. Good morning.
Good morning, City Council. First thing this morning, city viewers, I went out and voted. You need to all go out and vote today. I voted David Salzberg, a.k.a. Zuma Dog. One of the reasons why I voted for him was that he's been here for 3 years. He's been acting as a public servant already. For the past 9 months, he's been here every day, making us all aware of all the waste of our taxpayer money by the mayors and the council members here. He's done this on his own dime. He pays for his own gas to get here. He pays for the parking fees to get here. The council members are paid to be here. He's not. He's been doing this all on his own. They say he's different. Well, that's exactly what we need right now. We need different leadership. He's the one that's been showing us already for the past 3 years that he can take this job. I've also voted for Noah Weiss for city attorney. Jack Weiss hasn't done what he's supposed to be doing. I've also voted for Nick Passoris, city controller. Wendy Gruhl authored the No on Measure B. Why has she received $250,000 from the IBEW? If she wasn't so concerned about this campaign, why did she just put in $100,000 of her own money for this campaign? Vote David Salzberg, Noah Weiss, Nick Passoris, and vote no on Measure B. No on Measure B is a $3.6 billion scam against all of us. We will end up paying for this. Get out and vote. Tell your neighbors to vote. Take your neighbors to vote. Take whoever you can to help them vote. We need to get out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony. Teresa Marquez is our next speaker. After that is Art Fierros.
Good morning. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. And you might have heard this over and over again in the last few months in regards to alcohol licenses. Please, we are asking all of you to listen to your community. Our community of Boyle Heights is overburdened with 249 liquor licenses within a 10-mile radius. And it's kind of hard to sit here, let me tell you, and talk to a microphone that everybody has their backs to us and not not listening. I mean, it's
Listening, ma'am.
only a
Please.
few of you. But, you know,
Continue.
it's really hard because this is really important to us. And liquor licenses in Boyle Heights is just irresponsible, it's criminal. And our councilman continues to approve more liquor license. Now, his excuse or his justification is that he will give liquor licenses to restaurants only. Well, you know, 249 liquor licenses is just way overboard, okay? We're just inundated with them. The other thing is that the last approval that he gave was to El Mercado on 1st and Lorena, where there has been a high crime. Thanks to LAPD, it has been totally reduced. But according to East LA Sheriff, there is still a high crime there because they're right in the border. But yet, our councilman wasn't ready to listen to us. He did not listen to the community because everybody in the community, Boyle Heights resident homeowners, Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, Boyle Heights Neighborhood Organization, and our organization, Boyle Heights Stakeholders Association, said no more to liquor license. And we beg some of you that have already dealt with you is to find a way that we need to reduce the already standing liquor license
Thank you,
that
ma'am.
are causing us problems.
Thank you for your comments today. I'm sorry. We have to stay as even with everybody. I'm sorry, ma'am. We can't. We're already about 5 seconds over on our next speaker. I'm very sorry. It's the only way to keep it. We are listening. Thank you very much. Art Fierros is our next. Art Fierros is our next speaker. Ma'am. Thank you very much. Art Fierros is next, and then Nadine Diaz will follow. Good morning. And just as a reminder, we have 2 minutes to keep it as even and as fair
That's
for
right.
everybody, so it'll help you guide your time. Go.
Thank you very much. My name is Arturo Fierros. I'm with the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Coalition and also a producer and director of Local for Christ, a Christian television show that's been on the show on the air for 16 years. I want to direct this to all the council. Do you guys condone crime? Do you condone gangs? If you do, you got to stop okaying these liquor licenses, especially the hard liquor licenses. Because what they are doing is they're actually magnets for crime and bringing up these kids in the wrong way and tearing apart families. Terry and Nadine will be over to speak more about this, what's happening at the Mercado, and about the councilman okaying these licenses. We don't need any. If you want to have them in the west side, take them to the west side. You want to take them to the south side parks? Take them to the south side. But in Boyle Heights, we don't need no more. You know, it's getting very peaceful there. And what's happening when you start okaying these licenses, instead of taking away from the gang violence, you're fueling it and you're bringing it up again. So use your head. I mean, you guys are educated. You're in charge of the city. And, you know, we want to live at peace, you know. Basically, that's what I have to say. I mean, it's very stressful. I really don't like to speak to people this way, but sometimes we have to speak this way in order to get the attention of our leaders. And directly, it should be going to Mr. Huizar because he is the one that is okaying this, and we do not want any more hard liquor licenses in Boyle Heights.
Thank you.
And how much time do I have left?
Another 8 seconds, right in front of you, right there, about 10 seconds.
Okay, and public access. We were doing television in Boyle Heights. If there's any way that you guys can get that back on, I think it would benefit the community.
Thank you for your comments
Thank you
today,
very
sir. We appreciate them. Nadine Diaz is our last speaker for our general public comment. Good morning.
Good morning, City Council members. My name is Nadine Diaz. I'm 46 years of age, fourth-generation constituent of Boyle Heights, third-generation USC alum. I come from a family of health professionals. My father, who graduated from Roosevelt High School, Anthony Diaz, is a PharmD and a physician who practices specifically as a specialist and anesthesiologist. I am a clinical social worker at USC Alzheimer's Disease Research Center and the California Hospital in downtown Los Angeles. I'm also a California Democratic delegate for AD 46. I've been a delegate since 2002. I'm also the founder of the Boyle Heights Stakeholders Association, and I'm here in grave concern regarding the public health situation in our community of Boyle Heights. The increase of alcohol licenses will cause grave effects to the families who live there. We are a working-class community. We have over 249 liquor licenses as it is. And as the President, Teresa Marquez, indicated, this is going to cause major problems, not just crime, but public health problems. We already have diabetes, hypertension, mental health conditions that affect the community. As we all know, many people are losing jobs right now because of the economics. And this is a poor community. LAPD opposes the liquor licenses in Boyle Heights. Councilman Huizar refused to have a community forum to address the development at the El Mercado. We have waited. On January 17, 2009, Tara Devine violated the Brown Act by not allowing people to attend a community forum that was supposed to be at the Boyle Heights Senior Center, and she made the location 6 hours before the forum took place and was moved to El Sereno. We had seniors waiting in the cold, in the rain, waiting for this forum to take place. That was wrong. In my opinion, as a social worker, that is neglect. Please see the Caldera bill. We are going to challenge this, and this is not going to happen, and Huizar needs to meet with the community.
Thank you very much. That will close our general public comment right now. If we can take up the commissioner appointment that is before us, and if Ms. Secunda would like to come forward to the table, and Mr. Smith, I'd like to recognize you from the Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, and I welcome Ms. Secunda here, and I thank you for her willingness to serve. Our committee met yesterday and looked at her resume and discussed with her how she views the Department of Animal Services, and we were very impressed. I must say that her knowledge of it comes from the fact that she runs an animal shelter and an animal rescue shelter. So she's very, very interested in serving the commission in this way, brings tremendous expertise in animal services and animal care to that position, and we highly recommend her support today. And I know Mr. Rosendahl, her council member, would like to say a few words, but as vice chair of the committee, I was very impressed, and I think you make a very good representative of the people and with that commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Rosendahl.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. Thanks for being here, and thanks for stepping up to the plate. We had a wonderful discussion, you and I. So let me ask you a little bit about yourself. Tell me what you've been involved with as a citizen in terms of animals.
As early as probably 12, I started volunteering at local shelters in New York City and have had an interest in helping animals since that time, volunteering with different organizations while I was in college. And then when I moved out to L.A., first volunteered at the Amanda Foundation, and because I felt I could do more than just walk dogs, got involved with a more grassroots organization called Much Love Animal Rescue, where I started as a volunteer 9 years ago, and now I co-run the organization.
And what do you do for a profession?
I am a TV talent agent. I co-run the TV talent department at United Talent Agent, representing actors and some writers for television and television packaging.
So that's very intense.
It is intense, yes.
So the animals give a little balance to your life.
It's a terrific balance. Yeah. Two different kinds of animals in my life, yes.
That's how I look at it. That's why I have so many animals myself.
Exactly.
It kind of balances out the human and their realities.
Yes.
Tell me, what do you hope to accomplish as a commissioner?
As somebody who's been doing rescue for a long time, I've spent a lot of time in the city shelters, so I think I come to the table with a moderate perspective in that I have seen great improvements over the years in the shelters compared to 9 years ago, where you couldn't get anybody to help you, no one would smile at you, and nobody seemed to care about the animals at all. It's a very different place now. That doesn't mean there isn't room for enormous improvement. And I'm hoping, given the perspective where I come from, where we've sort of had to build up our organization, we're completely volunteer-run, and have to really depend on the public for our support, that I can bring a lot of that experience to the shelter systems and hopefully, be able to advise based on that. I think, volunteer outreach is huge. I think many of the rescue organizations would like to get more involved with the city shelters. I'd like to figure out how to bridge that gap a little bit more. Given the budget cuts, I think we're going to need a lot more volunteer support at the shelters, and I think there is a way to build a bridge and have greater communication and greater alliance between the rescue groups, the shelter staff, and the volunteers at the shelter.
And I certainly agree with you, and it's heartwarming to hear that kind of energy. You and I have talked about a philanthropic fellow who lives in our district, talking about a pilot program on animal registration, especially dogs. We need to up our registration of dogs. Once a person has their dog registered, they tend to take a lot more proactive stand. Do you see yourself involving yourself in that whole registration issue?
Absolutely. And I think I already mentioned to you that I can only speak for my own organization, but I would have to assume this is such an important issue to all the organizations, specifically how it relates to spay and neuter, but also obviously improving, the budget at the animal shelters. But it is important for everybody to register their dog. We would be willing and would advise other rescues to take part in that, whether it be using our email blasts of our own email lists, our mailing lists, or setting up tables at our own adoptions to encourage people to license their animals. And I'm sure there are a lot of other ideas if we sit down and really put our heads together of how we can get more people to focus on that.
Well, thank you so much, and I want to applaud Mayor Villaraigosa. One of his legacies, as we talk about legacies in life, is appointing incredible people to commissions and boards and departments, and you're a great asset, and we look forward to your leadership on the commission.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. Mr. Zine is our next speaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning. Right over here.
Hi.
Good morning. The department's had some internal problems. You may have read about those. With the supervisors, with the employees, with the community, and those problems have come to this council. They come to my personnel committee. We're trying to sort through those problems. Lack of confidence in the leadership. So when these issues come up, I just want to make sure you're aware of them, because commissioners go to that department with good intention, and sometimes they don't hear the true or real facts of the matter. And going out to the shelters as a commissioner, I would suggest and speak to some of the employees and get their input. We're still waiting for response from the department on a number of issues that have been brought up in my personnel committee, but I encourage you to meet with the workers and the supervisors and hear from them, because there's a lot of dissatisfaction that's come to this council and also to my personnel committee regarding that particular department and the administration. So I give it to you as the commissioners are the ones who are ultimately responsible.
Yeah, absolutely, first and foremost. Secondly, I do spend a lot of time at the shelters. I have great relationships with the supervisors and the staffs, as well as the volunteers there. I get all the emails, good and bad. I get the phone calls, good and bad. And I am approached when I'm at the shelters. I'm down there to do rescue. So I feel like I do have perspective, and I have an interest in hearing all sides, and I understand it's not an easy situation.
Right.
But again, I think I am, I might be naive, but I think I'm looked upon, generally speaking, as somebody who the rescue community respects, but also the shelter workers respect, and that I have an open ear. I'm ready to hear what people have to say, and I'm also ready to not pass judgment until I have all the information.
Yeah, and I commend the workers and the supervisors who stick with the welfare of the animals, but it seems that the concern is the lack of respect and support from the administration. Not the mayor's administration, but the administration of animal services.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Labange.
Thank you. Good morning again. Thank you for your service to the city of Los Angeles. Just wanted to there's a lot of challenges, as we know, but one of the most important challenges is the urban wildlife that is now part of Los Angeles. I think a lot goes back to when we containerize trash receptacles, that wildlife now has a tougher challenge, because they used to be able to knock over trash cans and scavenger. But now, because it's all containerized, they lose that opportunity. You have a ranger named Randall, I think, there. Miss Linda Barth, Greg Randall, is he your wildlife coordinator there? Is an excellent ranger. And I just wanted to put on your plate, if you would, to look to try to help enhance the wildlife officers. There's a variety of jobs that they do, but the hillside environment of Los Angeles, which goes from Cal State LA and East Los Angeles through El Sereno, through all of Highland Park, through Griffith Park, Alicia Park, out to Santa Monica Mountains, the rim of the valley and around, and other parts in the Baldwin Hills, there's wildlife out there. And how to balance that out. People do lose their pets to this wildlife, and there's a balance that is there. Sometimes it's very traumatic when you take a call from a family. So, what is your favorite pet, just for the record?
That would be very hard to say. I mean, I have dogs. I love dogs.
Right.
I love horses. But,
Right.
you know, I'm a wildlife lover. I've done a lot of, you know, wildlife rescue. I live on the Venice canals, whether it's, you know, abandoned ducks
Right.
or injured possums or
Right.
injured raccoons. You know, I am definitely one of those people who will go and do what I need to do and get them to the California Wildlife Center. So my point being, I'm incredibly sensitive to it.
Right.
My heart breaks for both sides. I certainly know people whose dogs and cats have been taken
Right.
by coyotes, but I also recognize the coyotes have no place else to go. So I think I am again, very sensitive and understand there has to be a balance. I also am not going to claim to be an expert in that area. I
Right.
have a great interest in it and hope to learn more and have the information to hopefully be able to come up with some solutions.
Right, well, Greg Randall, who works for Animal Services, and the team there, they're doing work on the LA River, they're doing work in the hillsides that needs to be enhanced if any way possible, because there's a lot of wildlife in the hills of Los Angeles. Thank you for your service to the city of Los Angeles.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. LaBonge. That will finish the queue, so we'll take the vote and make this official. Let's go ahead and open the roll, close the
Did I
roll,
stay seated?
and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Wherever you want to be. There you go. Congratulations. A round of applause for our commissioner. If you had stood up, it would have voided it, so it was good you stood seated. All right, next item called special, please.
Item 7 called special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn, we have item number 7 up called special for you by Mr. LaBonge. Number 7. On the
I think it was
Port
called
Electrical Apprentice
I
class.
think it was called For Me.
Yeah, Mr. LaBonge may have done that with or without your consultation. It is the new class of Port Electrical Mechanic Apprentice,
Thank you, Mr. President.
and it will go over 1 week since we don't have 12 members, just so you know.
What did you say?
We don't have 12 members, so it'll go over 1 week if it does pass.
Okay.
It won't formally
Council
go.
members, I just really wanted to highlight this because I think this is a good thing. This is it's going to be a Port Electrical Mechanic Apprenticeship Program. We have a new acronym now called PEMAS. And PEMAS will work as trainees assisting journey-level mechanics in the electrical and mechanical work associated with port operations. So it's a great opportunity I think right now they have in the budget 5 positions, and hopefully we can increase that more as we feel the economy coming back up. But what this does is take 5 people, get them immediately into an apprenticeship program, start paying them, and at the end of the 5 years, they will have a job as a mechanical engineer at the Port of Los Angeles. And you know, as we move forward out there at the port, we're electrifying everything from the cranes to the ships. So this is a great opportunity as we clean the air. We're also providing those green-collar jobs, which is exactly what we've all been talking about. So I just wanted to stand up. I can't imagine any of us being against this today, but I thought it was a good opportunity to stay on message that I think we're all talking about, which is trying to nurture and encourage these new green technology jobs for people even during this tough economy. So I want to thank the Port of Los Angeles for doing this, and again, I hope that we can increase the number from 5 to a lot more. But what a great opportunity for someone right now to start making some money, learn how to be an electrical engineer, and ultimately, I think, have a job for life in staying at the harbor and working on everything electrical that has to do with port operations. What a great thing to announce today with a bunch of bad news coming, a bunch of job losses in the city of Los Angeles. This is some job creation that I thought it would be worth highlighting as some good news. So I hope you'll support us on this, and we'd love to have a regular report back telling us how this program is going and seeing what we can do to encourage more people. If you're interested, if you're listening to this today and you're interested in being one of those people who has this job opportunity, you can either call the Port of Los Angeles or log on to their website and see how you might apply for one of these great jobs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. And with that, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 15, called special for cards.
We'll go to Van Nuys for Zuma Dog on item number 15.
Oh, 15. I was just leaving a message for Janice that was insufferable. Please briefing it. We're talking about rent escrow program, REAP. And again, I just want to highlight to the city of Los Angeles how Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, he promises everything to everybody, then delivers nothing. He says, gee, we care about the property owners who are helping to give rental units at a low price to the renters, and then, hey, we care about low-income renters and affordable housing. So what does he do? The city council and Villaraigosa go to these property owners that are renting to the low-income people, the form of affordable housing that is so desperately needed. They go, gee, property owner, you need to do some aesthetic improvements because we got this racket of a corrupt scam called the rent escrow program, and I am here to say that it's a federal racket. They go up to the property owners, hey, you got to make some aesthetic improvements. The bank says, no, we won't let you make these because it's only aesthetic, and then the city the owners can't comply, and then they're forced to like sell the property, and then it goes to the city council's preferred connected developer. They take these low-income units, turn them into high luxury condos nobody can afford. The renters are pushed out onto the streets to become more and more homeless. But hey, the city's getting their money because that rent escrow money goes to the city, not the landlord. So it's vindictive, retaliatory housing, and it goes right along with everything with the affordable housing. Mayor Antonio said he put 20,000 affordable housing units online. I'm here to tell you those are expensive hotel day-to-day units that are about $1,100 to $1,800 a month with no kitchens, and they're hotel units. And he's calling those affordable housing, and now the hotel owners cannot charge day-to-day rates because the mayor has deemed them residential units. This guy, Mayor Antonio, he hurts the business people and he hurts the renters. Vote this guy out today. What's wrong with you people?
If we could please just remind you, Mr. Dog, that loud language is prohibited. If you can please keep your volume down so our equipment stays functioning as well as it can. ISIS is our next speaker on item number 15.
Hello, I'm Isis, Director of JusticeLeagueForBenevolence.org, regarding the rent escrow program, REAP. Back in November 2008, attorney Rocky Delgadillo said that the Alexandria Apartments on 5th and Spring, owned by Amerland, Logan Properties / Alexandria Partners. I have a message for you, Rocky Delgadillo. If you may, as soon as possible, please email me, and I'll be happy to escort you with the LA City Council down to this building where I represent the Alexandria Apartment residents.
Mr. President,
this building is
I don't believe this address is on this agenda.
Ma'am, if you can please address we have 11414 South Main Street, the rent escrow account program. That's what's germane before us right now. Thank you for keeping to that topic.
Very well. Okay. I will be happy to do so at a later time. And for now, that building is not in compliance. Please email me.
Thank you very much, Isis. And that will close our general comments for that. Does anybody wish to talk on this from the council? Seeing none, let's prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next speaker, please. Next item, please.
Item 16, call special for cards.
And our next speaker is Zuma Dog.
Yes, and first of all, I'd like to thank the city of Los Angeles, the people of Los Angeles, for just making this 3 years a blessed experience for me. Right now, these are one of those little pet peeve issues those wacko talk show hosts like to get their panties in a wad over. The city right here, they're going to sell a horse for $1. Okay, it sounds simple. It says authorize the sale of one horse for $1 below market price. I'll tell you what, Zuma Dog will pay you $2 and you will double the profit. So I'd just like to say, what the heck is the city selling a horse for $1 for? I mean, just give the thing to a charity. I mean, just give the thing to somebody. They say, oh, we have to sell it. It says that we have to sell it because it costs too much to keep. So you only sell it for $1? I mean, couldn't you get, I'll tell you what, why don't you triple the sale fee like you triple the trash collection fees? Then at least you'll be taking in $3. Okay, so please, say no to this and come up with a better use for a living horse. The value of a horse is more than $1,
Mr. Dog, if
people.
you'll please lower your voice. Thank you.
No, I was done. I just wanted to use 1 minute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will close our public comment on the sale of a surplus horse. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
That is approved. That will gallop forward. Let's go to the next item, please.
Item 18, called special for cards.
All right. Our next speaker is in Van Nuys, Miriam Fogler, and then Donna Pearman.
Thank you, Zuma. Let me tell you something, folks. You know, like Howard Jarvis and Paul Gannon, I'm the spirit of them. He said they taxing us and taxing us, and we've had enough. We're going to take it back, and put it in the hands of people. Prop 13. Let me tell you, folks, this Prop R is like a kick in the Prop 13. You people voting for this Metro thing, the half-cent sales tax. It's going to boondoggle in your face, because every dollar you pay after July 1st is going to be 5 cents more. So don't gripe, because you're the people who voted this in. And the ones who voted and didn't vote for it are going to be the ones that are going to be able to speak out loud and clear that this Metro thing is just a money maker, and it's just going to be making everybody poor. It's just a front to tax us to death. And then you folks, you want to be taxed to death, like thousands of years we've been fighting against it. Go ahead. You want to be taxed out of your homes? You want to be taxed to nothing? Okay, so this is the way the Mashiach will come back.
Thank you. Donna Pearman is our next speaker.
Yeah, I see a lot of money here on the Metrolink crossing. I see $70,000. I have over here $13,500 and $51,278. We're spending an awful lot of money on this Metrolink crossing. In the meantime, the MTA is not taking care of the buses in West Los Angeles. I'm still having problems on the buses over in West Los Angeles with getting down Wilshire Boulevard, so I don't think it's fair to be spending all this money on the Metrolink crossing. And so vote no on it.
Thank you. That'll close our comments from the public on this item. Item 18 is before us, colleagues. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
That is approved. Next item, called special, please.
Item 20, called special for cards.
Okay, we have Zuma Dog in Van Nuys as well, and then Miriam Fogler.
Yes, just remember, people, I'm here day in and day out going over these agenda items. And, you know, I feel like Charlie Brown and City Council's Lucy, and every time I say something, they pull the football up and I fall on my ash. Because just when I came out on Friday and said, hey, the special event fees, they've really been looking good. We've been complaining about it, and you've finally done something about it, and I was here to compliment you. I mean, I went out of my way to commend you guys. Hey, I hope Bernard Parks is in the room today. What's he spending $30,000 for a carnival? Bernard Parks, I thought, was the fiscal conservative. The one who says unless you're going to pull $1 billion out of your pocket, we're going to have to be firing people citywide. Why is he spending 30 grand on a party? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. So I have to rescind and retract my approval and praise of City Council for finally doing one positive thing. Because as soon as I do that, here's 30 grand, and they're all back, people. Okay, the special event fees are back. Hey, don't listen to them, it's back.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. Ms. Fogler is our next speaker, and then Donna Pearman. Both in Van Nuys.
Well, folks, you know, I'm talking about our police and fire department. Talking about that, our LAPD here is spending $30,000. Folks, the police department, hear me loud and clear, and the fire department, they're not going to only tell city workers, they're going to get you next. You're going to be cutting back so bad, you're not going to be able to hire anybody to be on the job. They're going to be laying off fire people and police personnel, folks, asking for early retirement, furloughs, cutbacks, so you won't be able to do nothing. The city's just going to become a bone here because you keep spending all these special fee waivers. These add up. So, you know, it's only going to come down to trickle down to you. So if you don't take your city back, you're going to lose it. The unions here are appeasing the city workers, and they don't care about what these are doing. I mean, you know, you only go so far to milk the cow, and then there's no more milk left. You know, you just can't keep going. If you want to, and Tony says, we're going to keep hiring more police and fire, but if you've got these fee waivers, they're adding up, folks. Think about it. The city shouldn't be doing this. This is pork barrel. Pork barrel here, pork barrel in the state, pork barrel at the federal. We need to cut them all out. We need moral, ethical, with good values, you know, who are righteous, follow God's laws, to stop this shenanigans and charade that's going on in our political system. There's nothing wrong with the political system. It's the people that are in it, folks. It's a human nature. We need to change it, and you need to change it now and make it good. Just like you put your whole life into Obama. Now let's do the real change here. Now unfortunately he's retiring the same bureaucrat.
I don't believe she's talking about this issue.
Thank you very much. We were a little off topic.
Fees, folks.
Okay, thank you very much. Donna Pearman is our next speaker on this item number 20. Good morning, Ms. Pearman.
Yeah, good morning. Anyway, again, I was thinking that maybe the fee waivers were cutting down, but here we go again. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fee waivers, with the biggest one being the LAPD Pacific Area Spring Carnival. Zuma Dog was mayor. He wouldn't allow this $30,000 fee waiver, and our city is in such trouble. Yeah, but if you were to add all these up and give it over and to help out the city employees, that would be a lot better. We need that more. Then they won't be hurting the pension, and we don't really need the St. Nicholas Orthodox Cathedral Community Gathering, 6,500. Certainly you can come up with another way to do that, and I don't even know how to pronounce the one on E. CUAUHTEMOC. That doesn't seem like most people are involved in that, so why are we paying for that? In St. Lawrence of British Church Spring Carnival, which is separation church and state, 2,226. We got to figure out a way to save the city. We can't keep on going after city employees and state employees and asking them what are you going to give up? I like to ask the city council, what are you going to give up? Let's put the city council on a furlough and say, you don't like to we don't really need the dog and pony shows on Friday, so let's make a furlough on Friday. Except when you come to Van Nuys. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pearman. That will close our public comment on that item. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 22, call special for cards.
All right, Mr. Zuma Dog, item number 22. You have 1 minute left, sir, and then Isis here in council chambers will follow his comments.
Yes, and I look forward to Isis's comments because she knocked it out of the park at public comment today. A lot of great leadership today. I've really enjoyed it. I think today was probably one of the best days of a diverse public comment. I enjoyed it. Now let's talk about this is about the El Grito Festival, and once again, boy, I've been around long enough that things are starting to be, here it comes again annually. El Grito event. Okay, now they took it off the special event fee, but they want to transfer $75,000 from international earthquake account. Okay, there's international earthquake money. They want to transfer $75,000 to the El Grito Festival. And we all know what this festival is. It's just a money-raising, it's an excuse to make money for all the people involved, okay? And now we're taking $75,000 from an account and giving it to this festival. Why don't you give it to the kids, to the parks, to the libraries, to the police, to the general services that you're planning on cutting?
Thank you, Mr. Dog. Isis is our last speaker on this item.
Hello, I'm Isis, Director of Justice League for Benevolence.org. On Friday, a few days ago, on March 27, 2009, I was standing here before the council, as you remember, and I requested that we please implement as soon as possible to these special events, to El Grito event. I recommend again that we implement a can and food drive on every special event thereafter. Children, as you well know, and people, Angelinos, responsible Angelinos, hardworking Angelinos have been laid off in large quantities, and we need to feed our people here. Your first order of business in your mind when you wake up is how many food banks are we going to, and with special events, let's utilize that event for the greater good to feed as many people ASAP today. Today you eat, tomorrow you eat. I'm sure that you're not even worried about it. But guess what? When I
Mr.
wake
President,
up,
she
I
does
am.
not appear to be talking about the El Grito event.
Thank you for the suggestion, ma'am. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That will close our comments on this item. You can please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
That is approved. Next order of business, please.
Mr. President, amending motion was distributed after the item was adopted on 21. Do you wish to reconsider that?
Sure. Let's go ahead and open the roll on 21. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
That is now before us. Is there any objection to that amendment? It's been circulated and posted. If not, let's, as amended, please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 eyes.
That is approved. And if we can send the previous item to that forthwith as well, item number 22, without objection. Next order of business.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There's an excuse on the desk. Councilmember Gruhl requests to be excused to leave at 12:15 on Friday, March 6th, and at 10:30 on Wednesday, April 22nd, both for city business and both meet council policy.
Okay, she's excused.
That clears the desk.
All right, any announcements, colleagues? Obviously, reminding folks to get out there and vote. If you're not watching this in the evening on our replay and you're watching this live, there is still plenty of time to vote until 8 p.m. tonight. Again, you can call 311 to be connected with the County Registrar Recorder. We can forward you for your voting locations, or you can go online to lacity.org/CLK, as in clerk, to find out where our voting locations are. Any other announcements? If I can please ask everybody to rise for our adjourning motions. I can ask everybody in council chambers, out of respect for those who have passed, to please rise for our adjourning motions. Okay, Ms. Hahn, please.
Thank you. I'm sure we all will join on this one, but I definitely wanted us to adjourn the memory of Deputy Police Chief Kenny Gardner, who passed away suddenly Sunday morning. He was only 53 years old. Deputy Chief Gardner served with LAPD for over 30 years, and he joined the department in June of 1977. And in July of 2007, just after celebrating his 30th anniversary, he was promoted to the rank of Deputy Chief. In March of last year, he assumed command of Operations South Bureau, returning him to the community which he grew up in and spent most of his early life. He was actually born in Arkansas, but his family relocated to Southern California when he was a child. He went on to attend San Pedro High School. He was such a devoted member of the community, and for me, my memories of Kenny are, even after he became deputy chief, I use the comment that he really acted like a senior lead officer. He would go to community meetings, and Kenny would give his cell phone number, particularly to community members who were unhappy or angry about something. He would say, "Here's my number. Call me next time that happens, and I'll respond." And he did. And many times community members would call him, and he would respond personally. Kenny, even as a deputy chief, came to my Watts Gang Task Force meeting almost every Monday morning. He was there last Monday morning, a few days before he passed away. And we all remember him last Monday morning as saying to the group, "You know, I can tell that my work is done." He said, "You all are doing all the work in this community." And now when we look back on it, we think that was an interesting thing for him to say to that group. But he also came to the Harbor City, Harbor Gateway Task Force meetings and to the Wilmington Task Force meetings. I sat sometimes in a community meeting where there maybe only 10 people were there, and there was Deputy Chief Kenny Gardner sitting there through the entire meeting, wanting to make sure that the community knew that he was there for them. He never had to decide between supporting his police officers, which he did,
or supporting the community. He figured out a way to do it best, to do both of that, and I thought that was one of his great skills. He really gave back to the community. He reminded me of Randy Simmons in a way. He was a volunteer coach for youth basketball, baseball, football. He was also a board member for the Oscar Joel Bryant Foundation, the Association of Black Law Enforcement Executives. He received the Trailblazer Award in recognition for his outstanding contribution to the progress of African Americans in the city. He graduated from Cal State Dominguez Hills in 1981, I think with Chief Earl Pasinger. They were longtime friends. And he later graduated from the FBI National Academy. He's received many community citations. He was honored by our United States Congress, by the California State Assembly. He just was one decent human being. He was a gentleman till the end. I think every officer in LAPD would do well to model themselves after Deputy Chief Kenny Gardner. He is survived by his daughter Lauren and by his mother and father. I believe the viewing will be Sunday night. The services are 10 a.m. Monday morning at the Crenshaw Christian Faith Dome. We have a lot of grieving community members who were very, very sad and shed a lot of tears yesterday morning at the Watts Gang Task Force. They loved Kenny Gardner, and nothing else you could say, I think, is as meaningful as having a community who loved a police officer so much. We will miss Kenny.
We'll go around the horseshoe on this, of course. Mr. LaBonge.
Janice, thank you. Every day's a blessing, and it was shocking to hear the telephone call from the police department that they lost Kenny Gardner, who when you encouraged us to go to Southeast a couple of weeks ago for the barbecue of the rookie police officer who passed. Kenny was there, and I always felt he always had his, as an administrator of the police department, you want to be able to talk freely. And we all know, any department. Kenny knew how to talk. He knew how to listen. He knew how to react. He was confident in who he was and in the role that he served, and truly is a great loss. It is a blessing every day that we stand in this earth, and for whatever reason, God called Kenny so quickly. So I am saddened because he had so much promise to help, and as you said, the words of what South Bureau residents were talking about as an administrator who was not afraid to go to meetings and listen to people and respond and try to improve that connection. So it's a great loss for the city of Los Angeles and the LAPD. God bless Kenny Gardner.
Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've known Kenny since the 70s, and the thing that is most remarkable, even though he's had a very successful career of promotion, is probably one of his first jobs as a vice officer. And he was one of the first officers that I ever saw that actually would get in character when he went out into the community. And you'd see Kenny in the hallways, and you'd look at him, and he'd be dressed a certain way for a certain operation. But Kenny had a gift of gab. He could walk in what we call cold cases and walk up to a door, knock on a door, and talk himself into a bookmaker, into a after-hours club. It didn't make any difference, but he just had that gift of gab. And it was a lot of fun just watching how he and his partner operated those kinds of cases. But that's my remembrance of him and how he brought a completely different view of how vice operations should be dealt with.
Thank you. Ms. Perry?
Mr. President, I think the refrain I heard from so many people, and even myself, when I first got the call like everybody else was, wait a minute, I just saw him. I just saw him at Normandy Avenue Elementary School. I just saw him at 2nd A&E for the end of Black History Month celebration with Captain Craig, and he was always so calm and so mellow and just kind, and he really seemed to enjoy what he did. It wasn't really work for him. He just enjoyed himself. And the night that we were at the neighborhood council meeting, he told a funny story about his daughter's concern over the snow. I think she goes to Northwestern, and we were talking about the weather and how shocking it was for a California person to be able to go back there and live in the snow. And we all had a good laugh. And to have him just leave us like that, it's just total shock to your nervous system because he looked like he was in such good health, and he was lean and he was tall, he was jovial, and Janice gave the facts, but he was just a teamwork kind of guy, and it really showed the quality of his work. And I just hope that his legacy is that people emulate not only the way that he treated people, because he always treated people with respect, but that he truly, the love that he had for what he did really showed in everything that he did. And I think that maybe that's the lesson that he left us, and I'm just sorry that he went without warning. Janice, I know you mentioned some of his relatives. I'm not sure you mentioned his sisters and brother. Okay, he has a sister, Carolyn Garner, and another sister, Nellie Ann Gray, and a brother, David Garner, and of course you mentioned his daughter. So I just wanted to add that onto the list.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
I did not have the opportunity to engage him as much as my colleagues, but the few times I did, what always struck me was his high energy, his positive attitude. I think he was doing personnel work at one time, doing public safety, and just very straightforward and did not mince any words. And I just appreciate his energy, and we're going to miss him. We're going to miss him.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Yeah, I might say that, and I've said this many, many times, all we have is the moment. And he lived in the moment. And he became an inspiration for all of us, that if you love what you're doing and you're a positive spirit, the rest takes care of itself. And it isn't the number of years you spend on this earth, it's how you spend it. And again, for all of us, the message is all we have is this moment. And love one another, which he did with everybody. And I think, Ms. Hahn, what you said about him saying, my job is done, might have been a prophetic moment that his own soul was leaping out to say to everybody that I'm leaving you all here now. So treat everybody with respect and dignity, and that's what he taught us all.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Kenny came out to the Valley in his assignment with LAPD a number of years ago as Captain Foothill Division and Commander at Operations Valley Bureau. Where I really got to know Kenny the best, though, was when he came downtown to Office Operations, when he took over control of the Reserve Program, which we were working on in earlier years. And, as Jan and Janet, I think, so well pointed out, the guy he had a warm heart. He cared. He loved what he was doing. And every time I gave him a problem we were trying to resolve, no matter what it was, Kenny never frowned. He never said, like some people, oh, God, I don't know what we're going to do about that. He always said, okay, we'll figure this out. Never looked at the bad side of things, always looked at the good side of things, or tried to find the good side of everything. And he really had a good heart. And when I got the call from Harry on Sunday morning, he explained to me that Kenny had died and the situation. And at the end, I said, who?
I know.
Because I was in total shock when he first mentioned the word. And then he said, Kenny Garner. I said, that's not possible. I was floored. Kenny was a true gentleman, and I loved working with him, and we're all going to miss him.
Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that Bill and Tom, hit the nail on the head when they said, we live in the moment, and that's all we have. It's important for us to let our loved ones know how we feel about them, and never go to bed angry or all of the things that we were taught when we were children. But like Janice and Jan, this was a shocker. And, I just saw him Friday. I mean, it was, we were at an event for a gang intervention program. And like you both have said, this guy was everywhere. And, I think his first assignment as chief was over in our neck of the woods, Bill, it was West Bureau. And, I would go to the district office and he would be there. And you go to any community event and he would be there. It was a call. It was a shocking telephone call. And we will miss him tremendously. You sit up and you say, like Jan said, the guy was, I wish I had a stomach like his. The guy didn't have an ounce of fat on him. He's somebody you would look at him and say, this is a healthy guy. I mean, his stomach was as flat as Bernard's. I mean, maybe it's something they eat when they put you in the LAPD. I don't know. But it was just a shocker. It was, I look at Smith and Zine, so I guess since you guys are reserves, you don't get the high-quality LAPD diet. But he will surely be missed. But again, for all of us, I think it's important that any differences that we have, we need to put them aside and realize that, nothing is promised. And so he will be missed. And again, I just saw it.
I know.
Mr. Zahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, had the honor to work around Kenny Garner for many years as a director with the Police Protective League. When you worked with Kenny Garner, it was always a positive experience. Kenny, I don't think had a bad word to say about anyone. I know in his experience in South Traffic, he worked all kinds of assignments, but in South Bureau as the deputy chief, he was working on a program for people coming out of prison to get them into a job, to get them off of the criminal cycle. And you wouldn't think it's a traditional role of a law enforcement executive to do that. But he was always smiling. I remember seeing him at the academy a number of times. Just always happy, always pleasant, very appreciative of his position in the department, his promotions. But he was never arrogant. He was always down to earth, always a hello, how you doing? He's going to be missed by not only the members of the LAPD, but the community, the elected officials who have dealt with him personally, those who have worked with him over the years, at his young age of 53, just in the prime of his life, his experience, and his command of a very difficult bureau, South Bureau, where they have a lot of crime, a lot of gangs, a lot of activities, but he's always positive, trying to make it better. So Kenny Garner has gone to, as they say, a better place, but we're going to miss him here in the city of Los Angeles, and I'm sure that his services will be well attended. My son, who's a motor officer from South Traffic, called and he heard about it. He couldn't believe. Because Kenny reached out to everybody, whether you're the beat cop, the motor cop, the executive, he always reached out for people. That was the way Kenny was. He was never enamored by his position of a deputy chief. He was just Kenny Garner to everybody, and may he rest in peace. Kenny Garner, may you rest in peace.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zine, and thank you, everybody, for beautiful remembrances of Chief Garner. I'll just repeat very briefly what I said yesterday when we celebrated 62 new recruits that were added to the Los Angeles Police Department, making history yesterday. We added 62 and we lost one. But those numbers don't begin to articulate how big that one was that we lost. And he was the department. He embodied what we expect of our police officers, who we want them to be. And I was on the phone with Mr. Cardenas earlier in the day. I know he's at another funeral, so can't be with us today. But he said, in the community where I have the toughest, most hardcore activists who never, ever, ever, ever would be happy with anything that happened, they all loved Kenny Garner. And we all know, as folks that do that work and try to address people's frustrations and disconnection sometimes from City Hall or government or the police department and try to reinvest some hope, he really did embody that. And it is a big gaping hole in the police department and in our city with his loss. Any other adjourning motions, colleagues?
We adjourn in memory of Paul Harvey, lived to be 90. He was ABC News 59 years, preceding his death by his wife, Lynn. And he had a very famous broadcast for radio and really brought a voice to the discussion. Paul Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Mr. Parks?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Second for Mr. Rosenberg.
I'd ask that we adjourn in memory of Wallace Robert Bailey, who was born and raised in the city of L.A. He was a graduate of Jefferson High School, and prior to receiving some scholarships for his basketball talent, he was actually drafted by the U.S. Army. He fought at the Battle of the Bulge. One of the things he's most proud of is that during his leadership in that tour of duty, his troops took over 21 cities in a 24-hour period. He earned many commendations and was decorated with the Bronze Star by General Patton. He was married, had 4 children, but he was most remembered as his career in real estate. He was the prior past president of the Consolidated Realty Board. He was instrumental actually in purchasing their current headquarters, which is now named the Wallace Bailey Plaza. He's a member of the Society of Real Estate Appraisers and also was one of the first appraisers on the Veterans Administration panel. He also was a true pioneer and worked on many issues such as redlining, and also was a lifetime member of NAACP, and clearly was gifted in a variety of areas. He passed away earlier this month, with funeral services were Saturday, February 28th.
Thank you. Seconder for Ms. Berry. Are there adjourning motions, colleagues? If not, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Don't forget to get out there and vote, and we will next be in session tomorrow. That will be Wednesday, March 4th,